Do you know who the world's leading plumbing provider is? Welcome to the Fervent 4. Did you know that only that's 4% of businesses ever cross the annual $1 million revenue mark? What's up, everyone? I'm Zack Miller, author of Anomaly. And with me today, I have my co-host, Tim Ryan, lead man at startwheel.org. Thank you so much for joining us. The Fervent 4 is a weekly show each and every Thursday at 11 a.m. dedicated to sharing insights into growing a world-class business, no matter the climate. Today, brisk. It's a brisk 50 degrees and foggy maybe wherever you are. With a headquarters here in Newport News, Ferguson is leading the way in plumbing, plus has a venture arm, Ferguson Ventures, who is actively seeking new startups to fund. Insert Blake Luse. What's up, everyone? How's it going?
What's up, Blake? What's up, Zack?
Blake, where are you from?
I'm originally from Alabama.
See, I think it's important that everyone knows that you're just a good old Southern boy. That's where the voice is coming from. And you got these Northerners that deep voices and ready.
I did live in Washington, D.C. for a little while and up in New Hampshire. So kind of toning down the accent. But back in Virginia, I can let it shine.
So what got you into the world of kind of business startups? Because I think it's something that maybe 10, 12 years ago wasn't super popular. You know, I think the world, well, actually, let me ask you this first. Blake, how old are you?
38.
Okay, 38. So you graduated, what, 98 high school, something like that?
2000 high school.
2000 high school. Okay. Yeah. So did you ever have like a business entrepreneurship program or a startup program in high school or anything like that?
It wasn't high school. I got to work early. I mean, I started working at 14, and then I worked at a restaurant at 16 through college. So, you know, really understanding the importance of a customer coming and having a face-to-face interaction with a customer, and how having that customer come back each and every day, each and every week was the lifeblood of a company. So I think I got into business and really thinking about entrepreneurship and how you build a business through working throughout high school and college.
Very interesting. At 14, what was the gig?
I was cleaning up a gym and babysitting the kids of the owners of the gym.
There you go. Not luxurious in the lightest. What I was getting at is, you know, up until maybe 2010, Shark Tank wasn't Shark Tank wasn't around. Entrepreneurship wasn't that great. A few weeks ago, we had students from the Entrepreneurship Academy at Kempsville, and even the teachers there, entrepreneurship wasn't this thing that was really glorified and really pushed out the way that it is probably in the last decade. And so what other than getting into the nitty gritty of you doing that at 14, babysitting, cleaning stuff, you just felt like that was something that you wanted to explore more? Or how did business and entrepreneurship become a thing that you wanted to explore and be a part of for the better part of your life? Yeah,
I joined Ferguson right out of college. So I've been at Ferguson for 15 years. And so that is a company, Ferguson is a company that's very entrepreneurial at heart, entrepreneurial spirit. You know, as an associate, you've got a lot of reign to service the customer, to come up with new ideas, to continue to service that customer better. And it really ingrained that entrepreneurial spirit in me just coming out of school and working at Ferguson. There's outside sales associates that are building a book of business. I came in as an inside sales associate to support that person as they built their business, and really watching associates in Ferguson leverage the supply chain, the depth of product, the product expertise, and the skill sets across Ferguson to build their book of business and service their customers better, you know, each and every day. Helped me understand what business was and why having an entrepreneurial spirit is important.
How'd you find Ferguson, or how'd they find you?
At job fair. My brother said, "Hey, there's a company called Ferguson, and when you're coming out of school, you need to get in and have a really good first 2 to 5 years. Find companies with a good management trainee program And then from there, sky's the limit. But I found that sky within Ferguson, so I haven't left.
Wow.
And so you were at Auburn then. Ferguson, headquartered Newport News, invested in being down there. And what city is Auburn in?
Alabama. Come on, Zack.
Auburn, Alabama. Oh, that's the city?
Yeah, Auburn, Alabama.
Okay. I knew it was Alabama. Interesting. Okay. Well, I was thinking like Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I didn't realize that. Okay. Got it. Sorry. Stand corrected.
It's a better football school down south called Auburn.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. So Ferguson had a job fair, was a part of a job fair down there. I saw Tim's face, like kind of shocked that it was like that. Like, why shocked in that face, Tim?
No, that one of the things that just always has amazed me, especially at Ferguson, is the tenure of employees. So many are there for such a long period of time. Do you have any idea what the average tenure is of someone at Ferguson by chance?
I couldn't tell you average, but I talk to people that have been here 40 years. I see people 45 years. So, I like to say that 15 years is just getting started.
Yeah, and so I mean that's the first thing that I think of is that would come to culture, that Ferguson's doing something right within the culture to keep people that long.
Yeah, we've got the best leadership in the industry, and you're empowered to go get things done within Ferguson. And so, we recruit heavily out of colleges. So we're recruiting heavily into our sales organization, and our sales organization is coast to coast. So a little over 1,400 branches, 250 showrooms that are in every state in the U.S. And so feeding that system with high quality professionals coming out of colleges has been a good recipe for Ferguson. And so they're heavily recruiting college campuses.
I would think that when I was in school, I didn't have a job fair, or maybe I did, and I just didn't attend it. That's probably what actually happened. I wouldn't have thought to do this now or then, but now I would think about it. It's asking like how long have people stayed? And then when you could say 15 to 40 years as the recruiter there or the person at the job fair, hearing that would cement that, hey, this is a good company, where I think a lot of people probably have a ton of turnover, especially with kids getting out of school. Do you remember what lured you to go to Ferguson when you were there? Like what helped commit you to want to move halfway across the country to Virginia?
Yeah, well, I moved into Washington, D.C., Beltsville, Maryland. So it was a trainee program. What I really liked about Ferguson was they had a set path. So you didn't just come in and do a job. You came in and learned the business. So with Ferguson, you start out in the warehouse. You're picking orders for 2 weeks. Then you go to shipping. You go to returns. You go to the counter. Then you go into inside sales. So that was the path that I took. And when you're in inside sales and you're trying to make things happen for a customer, you need to have relationships with the people picking the tickets. You need to have relationships with the people shipping so that you can make sure your customers are taken care of. So the culture of coming in, and instead of going to a cubicle and writing up orders, you come in and start picking tickets, picking orders, put your hands on products, really understand what products are and why picking an order correctly is important for our customers. And then why shipping it and having everything delivered and no back orders. You really start to understand the people that make the company work, from the warehouse all the way through branch operations and sales. So that's what I liked about Ferguson, was it was a end-to-end business training and experience.
And I'm going to jump ahead, but then we'll go back. But you're touching on something that's really important. And one thing that I'm interested in is, based on the customer service, the customer experience, everything that you've learned and practiced within Ferguson, how important is that when you're looking at companies to invest in terms of the customer experience for those companies that you're looking at? Does that play an important part in your decision?
Yeah, it's huge. So any startup or any founder, they've got to understand the problem first. And so identifying the problem and then identifying if there's a market, if that problem's solved, and understanding if that market would pay that founder or that company to solve that problem is first and foremost. So you got to have a great team. You've got to understand how to scale, understand how to take it to market, things of that nature. But if you really understand the customer and understand the problem you're trying to solve, you're head and shoulders above your competition. And so that's always where I'm starting conversations is what's the problem? How big is it? And how do you know that somebody's going to pay you for it?
So I think Tim and I both agree with that. I think the challenge with that is people really identifying and understanding the problem in that. And then if it's a yes or a no, is it the right person that's giving you that information? Is it a big enough problem to even make money off of it? Where are you on that? But then kind of understanding the market size of that thing. How does someone, I guess 2-part question, how does someone actually understand what the problem is with some of those kind of pieces attached to it? And then how do you grasp how big a market is? Because I know that when I started Hatch back in 2012, people would be like, oh, and this is a $7 billion industry or something like that. And it's like, hold on, like that doesn't mean it's a $7 billion I guess it's a $7 billion for you to get into, but like you're going to have a sliver of that. So how do you really grasp how big your market really is once you've addressed the pain point side of that or the problem of it?
Yeah, I think it's something you've got to step into. So I get into a lot of pitches and people are talking about, $20 billion market and I got a total addressable market of this or that. And that's all great. And you got to have that. You got to have that understanding. But I think the value early on is let me go talk to 10 people. And if 2 of them have the problem, let me go talk to 20. And then let me go talk to 40 and 50. Let me engage with, forums, Reddit, different opportunities to engage real people and understand if they have the problem. And if I, as a founder, have a good understanding of that problem, and it's not just something that I believe should be in the world, but it's something that, call it 100 people off of, forums that are in that niche, believe should be. And then from there, you can continue to expand that, start to do research. But I think understanding what 50 to 100 people want at a detailed level is better than doing, some Gartner research that'll tell you that there's a $1 billion business, because it's nebulous at that point.
Say it again. Understanding what 50 to 100 people want. Was there a second part to that?
I think that's most important. And so then you can figure out if it's a larger.
Got it. And so of that, so you're on a Reddit, you're on a forum, and I agree with that. How do you then address is this person like actually a customer? Do you not worry about that? Could they be a customer? Like where in that? Because I would assume that a small percentage of those 50 to 100 actually then become a customer of that.
I think you've got to see them as a customer.
Even if they're not paying for that when you're getting that information? Yeah,
because at that point, nobody's a customer, because you're probably not making any revenue because nobody's paying you for it. You might just have an idea or a prototype at that point, but that is your first customer base. So if you can turn those interviews into, let's say, a email mailing list or your first customer set. So when you do have a product, you take it to them immediately and you say, hey, I took your information and your problem and I believe I've solved it. And then if you can have your first customer set of say 50 to 100, now you've got a beta test, or you've got a proof of concept or a pilot going, and you can continue to learn. And so you're going to get your first, 10, 15, 25 customers before you get your first 10,000.
100%. Totally agree. What I want to circle back. I jumped ahead a little bit with that question, but I want to circle back about the genesis of how Ferguson Ventures became what it is today. What took place within the corporate decision to establish Ferguson Ventures?
Yeah, so we wanted to get after innovation. And really, as everyone knows, times are moving fast, especially now. So things are happening in weeks that could have taken decades. And so as the market's changing, as our customer expectations are changing, we wanted to set up a group that could do a few things. One, have an eyes on the startup community and make sure that Ferguson is a household name within the venture capital accelerator startup community, so that as companies, property tech, construction tech companies come into being, they can understand that Ferguson is a great path to market, a great opportunity if you need access to product, and really a thought leader in the construction and property services space. And so as we started to build on our corporate venture capability, we also added in an innovation lab in Atlanta. So we've got the capability to prototype, develop either ourselves or with partners, be it our startup community partners, whether we invest in them or not, they could be a partner. And then we've bolted on service design. So really having a way to go through design thinking workshops, lay out customer journeys, service blueprints, and work with our business units to best visualize a service that they want to launch to solve a customer problem, and then use lean startup methods to build out a proof of concept, build out a pilot, and really take something to market. So in the beginning, it's a way to have a set group that engages startup community and really thinks about new ways to service current customers or new ways to service new customers, and lives with that and doesn't, go off into their day job, if you will.
Any idea, piggybacking off of Tim's question, any idea of like how the thought to get into things like this from a big company perspective happened? Like, did they see something? You mentioned Atlanta. Did they see something somewhere that they were like, oh, we want to be involved in something like that? Because it doesn't seem like it's the first thing that a company would actively go in as they're big to then work with smaller businesses.
Yeah, well, I mean, smaller businesses are coming out with the new ideas, right? And not to say that large incumbent businesses don't, but smaller startups can come in. They don't have a current customer base, so they can try things. They can be more radical, and they can come in and experiment on a customer set and really change an industry. And so if you've got eyes on that and what's coming into your industry, what are the trends? What are the insights? What can you learn from having an engagement with a startup community? And then you also have a capability set that is, let's just call it Ferguson or your incumbent business. If you think about Ferguson, we've got things that are hard to build. Logistics, coast to coast, 1,400 plus branch network, 250 showrooms, 28,000 associates, the 68 years of history, customer relationships. So as a startup, you can come in and experiment and either try to create a new market or do low-end disruption and go after the bottom of a market. And you can come in and do something pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you can be pretty risky in there too, because you don't have the established name that you have to, hold to, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where the incumbent has a leg up as well, because building a logistics and supply chain network and training 28,000 associates and just building that out takes time and it takes a lot of capital. So if you marry the two and you bring in startups who are looking to do what Ferguson is looking to do, we're looking to provide a better tomorrow for the trade professional. So we are thinking about how can we help a trade pro, our customer, a plumber, an HVAC contractor, a builder. How do we help them gain efficiencies? How do we help them run a better, more profitable business? And there's a lot of startups who are trying to do the same thing, and they're coming at it in new ways. And I think that the marriage of a startup and a incumbent corporate is a good thing.
So you got the green light. for Ferguson Ventures. And one of the things that and that's how we first met, was I applaud you that one of the first things that you did is you picked up the phone, you started looking to see who the players were across Hampton Roads in the entrepreneurial space. What is your thought on this space? Share with us what you found and what your overall impression is of the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Hampton Roads.
Yeah, and so to take that one from the top, it's, as we started Ferguson Ventures, I did the typical travel you might expect: Silicon Valley, going to Boston, going to Chicago, and really looking at these ecosystems down in Atlanta, of startups, of accelerators, venture capital groups, and just how they start working together. And I started thinking about, I don't want to have to travel to Silicon Valley or Atlanta to see a thriving community. So what's happening here in Hampton Roads? I've been in Hampton Roads now for 3 years, but I've been traveling here for probably over a decade. And so reached out, Tim, to you and to a lot of other people, and started to really put together that there's a thriving community here. And I've learned from Monique Adams and Evans McMillian, Graham Henshaw, Nancy Gurdon, others, Aaron Powell now at Lighthouse Labs, Todd Knuckles. Just if you engage with a certain group in Hampton Roads, there's about 10 people, and there's others, but there's 10 people that if they're in your network, you understand the capital, the programs, and the places that you can go as a founder to make you successful. And so early on, I wanted Ferguson, who's a leader in this community, to plug in. We do a lot of philanthropy and a lot of volunteering, and I wanted to make sure that we were providing assistance and support to the great programs that are helping founders here in Hampton Roads.
And the other thing that to me is that's awesome that Ferguson Ventures does is the work that you guys do with the different universities. In particular, the event that you had with the William and Mary Miller Entrepreneurship Center students. Share with us about that program. That was really neat.
Yeah, so we're going on our third year of what we call the Ferguson Innovation Challenge. And so what it is basically Ferguson sponsors an innovation challenge. And we put a challenge, this year it's going to be, how do we help our trade pro customer create a better relationship with the homeowner? So how do we digitally enable them to have a better relationship with their homeowner? So we've selected challenges each year that is going to help a contractor. And we bring in 25 students, we break them into 5 teams, and we put a Ferguson mentor with each team. And over about, call it 6 weeks, they build out their pitch, they build out their idea. All the while they're learning about the construction industry, they're learning about Ferguson. They're really understanding that there is a large company here locally that could provide a really diverse opportunity for them once they graduate. And then they pitch to a panel, and we've gotten our CEO there, CMO, CIO. I mean, we really put a great panel together for those students so that they can pitch to the leadership of Ferguson. And then we hand out $2,500 to the winner, $1,000 to second place, and it's been a great experience for the students and also for the mentors at Ferguson. The last, the last 2, we've done 2, about to do a third. We've done internships. So we'll bring in 4 students into an internship where they're part of Ferguson Ventures and they're working in our innovation lab. So 2 years ago, physically they're in the lab. This past year it was remote, but it turned out very, very well. And we hired one of our interns last year. So I think one of the biggest success that I'm proud of is that we've made our first hire out of the Ferguson Innovation Challenge, out of our internship.
In terms of, have you been able to adopt any of the ideas that were pitched to further build those out, or is that still too early to determine?
Yeah, I think a lot of times in a pitch competition, the ideas live through other projects, and so the first one was around. It's all around digital, and it's all around how do we create a better environment to help our customers transact business with their customers. And so a lot of the ideas are living on with our website, with different apps we're thinking about, but the first set of interns, they worked on their project for 3 months. The next set of interns, we put them into projects that were already going on at Ferguson. And I think the second set was a better experience. Both of them, they came out of the program, they had really great feedback for us, but pulling talent out of William and Mary, out of our innovation challenge, and putting it into projects that are currently in existence, still going on today, having those diverse voices come into those projects has been very helpful.
People watch, I'm going to bring up Shark Tank again. They watch Shark Tank, then they decide that they want to pitch to an investor or they want to raise money and things like that. When someone is pitching to you, what is maybe your favorite strategy to receive a cold message from someone? And what is the least strategic way for someone to get you to respond to? Best and worst.
I think the best is always coming through somebody that I know. We work with a lot of venture capital groups that are also focused on construction tech. So when they send me something, I look at it. I engage on LinkedIn. So if you hit me up with something cold, but you've got, here's the problem I'm going after, here's my customer, here's the traction that I have, and you can lay that out in a message, I will talk to anybody who is trying to make a better world for our trade pros and really going after things that we're interested in. The best way is brief. I mean, it takes me 5 minutes to understand if this is something that we would be interested in. It's what's the problem? How did you identify that problem exists? And what's your traction? How many customers do you have? And then what's your team look like? Pretty simple.
Yeah. Problem, solution, traction. Love that. I always tell people too, like with slides, I'm like, don't overcomplicate it. Like, just make it easy, right? What's the problem? What's the solution? What's the traction? Well, what's traction? Do you have any results?
Yep.
Basically, it's
one thing to throw out there, Zach, is the monologue about somebody's background is irrelevant if they don't have any traction.
Right.
Not that people don't care about the vast experience that you have and how great you are, but do that later.
But don't you think it's because, to me, like when you're going to an investor, it's always, hey, I have this thing. It's gonna be successful no matter what. Here's already my existing traction, and with you, I'm gonna get there faster. I'm gonna get there anyway. But if you give me this little bit of money, I'm gonna get there quicker, and I'm gonna make your return even quicker. But I've never really understood why people want to get into I have this experience. I'm this, like, I've done it. There's so many like unnecessary slides that I feel like you can go to someone, like I hear people's pitches all the time, and I can like dissect it and regurgitate it out and be like, oh, here's a 15-second pitch. No, it's too short. I'm like, really? Like your commercial that you're watching during the Super Bowl that's worth $5 million is a 30-second commercial, and they did a pretty good job. Like you're overthinking this. And so, Tim, Start Peninsula's 90-second pitches.
That's how it started. We do 3 minutes now.
Okay. So when we did Start Norfolk, which is a similar event, we haven't done that in like 5 years. Throwback Thursday. There you go. There would be like 60-second pitches, and people are like, that's not enough time. I'm like, actually, like at 11 seconds in, we all wanted you to stop pitching because it was terrible. And you just be concise.
Yeah.
How much money do you want? What are you going to do with it? What do you need from me, and how's it going to benefit me or my customers?
Well, and then there's like the money side of it where people aren't even talking about, I don't have a marketing budget. It's like, well, I mean, that's got to get out there, right? Can't just be talent. How are you going to get that thing for people to see it? And so that's always interesting too, when people are like, oh, I want $1 million, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I guess I'm just going to pay myself $500,000.
What, Blake, what's the most common question that someone will ask you when they first are approaching you about Ferguson Ventures and them trying to get a check?
It's a good question. I mean, most common question is, how do you engage with startups after you make the investment? Which is a very important question on any kind of investor, especially a strategic investor, is what value do you add? What will we do together once you're an investor? Ferguson, we invest later. So we come in around Series A. And so for Ferguson and for Ferguson Ventures to be a good partner and a good catalyst, we need a product, and we need a product that's past the prototype, past the POC, and then you're ready to scale. And if you think about Ferguson Ventures, we are the conduit between corporate venture capital group and the business. And we're a channel to market really for startups who are ready to scale with the right product.
You may know him as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I know him as just a man who has done incredible things for the last few decades. But how can you use his techniques in your business? I'll show you exactly how. Head on over to ZackMillerSays.com/The Rock, and you can smell what he's cooking. I like that little laugh there. That was great. Can you explain what Series A is, and like where in like a level that you typically come in at? I mean, I know you said you get in at Series A, but like typically where is a business at that point?
Yeah. So there's probably better explanations on Google, but if you think about it, how I think about it, you got your friends and family around. You're going after their money. That's a good place to go get some money. And then you go into seed, where you've got an idea. You probably got a PowerPoint slide. You may or may not have a crude prototype, but that's where you're getting your angels and other investors. Some venture capital groups go into seed. But really, once you're at Series A, you've got a product and you've got traction. So basically, that's where we come in. Is you're a Series A founder. You've got a team that can scale the business. You have a product that a customer is willing to pay for, and you've got proof that that's occurred. And you've got a way and a path to think about, here's my revenue model and my demand model over the next 5 years. And that's where I'm looking to come in. And so I'll tell you, early when we started Ferguson Ventures, I looked at a lot of seed, because seed's cool. A lot of great founders, a lot of cool ideas. But what I found was, for us to be a really good partner, which our reputation is everything in the market, especially in a startup community, we've got to be able to be a good partner. And for us to be a good partner, you got to be ready to scale.
Yeah, and another thing, I mean, I feel like I'm always talking to people that how important relationships are, and that is everything. Whether, no matter where you're at in your business, and you rely heavily on those relationships. You had mentioned that the best way to get in touch with you is through someone that you know. And then in terms of how you all invest as well, sometimes you lead and sometimes you follow. Can you explain to the audience in terms of what that means from the investment side?
Yeah, so far we've made 7 investments in the startups and 2 into venture capital funds. And of the 7, we've led 3 and followed on to 4. And so when you follow on, you're following on to somebody else's, usually a institutional venture capital group. You're following on to their term sheet. So they're setting the price, they're setting the terms, and they're leading or coordinating the coming together of the investment round. And that's great. And so, we write check sizes between, say, $250K and $10 million. And if we're looking to learn, engage, and get our foot in the door, that might be a good way to do it, right? That is a good way to do it. But if it's something that's very strategic to us, and we believe we've got a path to market, and it might be something where we could gain and create more value if we set the terms, if we lay out the future of the business in such a way that we could productize it and help that startup take it to market. That's when we'll come in and lead the round. Sometimes in construction technology and property tech, there might not be a VC that is interested to come and lead that round or fund that business in the way that we see. And so then we'll write the term sheet, lead the round, organize it, execute it, and start working.
Do you find that the companies that you're investing in are companies that you would have their products or services on the normal website on Ferguson.com? Or is it all over the place?
Yeah, so the only product that we've invested in is a company called Whisker Labs that has a product called Ting, Ting. And if you want to look at it, go to tingfire.com. And so this is an IoT product that senses the electrical wiring of your home for faulty wires, and it predicts fires, right? So part of our connected product business, we wanted to go after a fire safety type product. And this one was very innovative, very forward looking. And so we invested in that company. It's a way to really access job demand through IoT from the property. Outside of that, we invest in software or processes. So we've invested in 2 offsite construction companies, really thinking about the process of how construction occurs in a manufacturing facility to gain more efficiencies. But everything else has been software.
Tim talked about relationships and building that. What's your breakdown of you learning about a company and you reaching out to them? And the flip side of that is a company finding you and them reaching out to you. What's the breakdown percentage-wise of that?
I'd probably say 50-50. I like to call ourselves a hunter. I mean, we're a hunter. We go out there and find it. So we're researching, we're talking to VCs, but then we've also got our website and our inbound submissions. So the great part about kind of where we sit now is we've built a brand over the last 3 years. We're engaged with the right people in the ecosystem. And so now we've got VCs that are bringing us deals and opportunities. We've got an inbound coming in from our business. So if you think about 28,000 associates, they've got eyes on what their customers are using, new things in the market. And so I'm getting good opportunities from our associates and our business leaders. And then we've got people just sending us deal flow.
Do you find that you then are using the techniques that people pitch on you to then actually pitch on other people when you're like meeting a company, you're like, hey, I'm interested in you? Like, do you feel like you then have to pitch yourself, or is it, they're welcoming and ready for that type of thing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a salesperson at heart. So
that's incredibly important, because I think a lot of people aren't salespeople at heart. And so the fact that you admitted that, like, I feel like that's definitely a struggle for most people. So
yeah, I'm selling the value of Ferguson every day. So, when you don't have a corporate venture group and you're not engaging with startups every day, that community may not know the capabilities or the skill sets of your company. And so I feel like on an everyday basis, I'm selling the value prop of Ferguson into the startup and the venture capital community. And so I really think that, of a reverse pitch where, because just because we want to invest in a company doesn't mean they're going to take our check, right?
Which is surprising, because I think a lot of people wouldn't ever think that.
Yeah, it's a hot market. I mean, and being a strategic investor, though it comes with a lot of benefits, huge benefits, channel to market, thought leadership, the ability to reach scale faster because our depth of customers. some are a little bit wary about corporate venture groups, or only want to bring in one or two strategics into a round or into their board in general. And so, I'm selling as much as they're selling to me.
How do you define the word startup? You've used it a lot. We've used it a lot. How do you define startup?
Yeah, I think early back in the conversation, we talked about entrepreneurial spirit and how it came to be. And so there's lifestyle brands, like a coffee shop or a barbershop or something like that, a landscaping business. And so those are great small businesses, and we need them. But I believe a startup is something that can scale at speed across a large market, and wants to take on capital to do so. So that's basically it. If you can reach scale and you want to take on capital.
So would you say that one of those companies is more of like those companies that you were explaining, the coffee shops of the world, those are more of a small business, if you will, and the startup is more the thing that actually can see some sort of scale trajectory, something where it can get mass global appeal and usage and things like that? Is that what you would say?
I believe so.
A general, fair statement. Yeah.
I think that a small business could use some of the skill sets and the methods of a startup.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, they're not looking to take on capital, and typically they can't scale past a region without a lot of cost.
Tim?
Yeah, Blake, when you enter a deal, just curious, what's the time frame that you're looking to stay in the deal in terms of, is there a certain exit strategy that you're looking for or time frame that you're looking for?
Not anything that we set out, but roughly 4 to 5 years. I mean, we're a strategic investor. So if you have a venture fund, then you've got a 10-year life on that money. And if you make an investment, so for the first 5 years, you're deploying capital. For the next 5 years, you're harvesting, because after 10 years, your limited partners who gave you their money want that money back. So we don't have to abide by that. So we're more of a longer term strategic investor. But if you're a VC and you invest money on year 4, then you need to return that capital by year 6. We don't work like that, but we do like to return capital.
What you said the word harvest? What do you mean by harvest?
So say you start a venture fund today, you're out there and you're going to gain, let's say, $100 million, right? You get your $100 million, and for the first 5 years, 4 years, you're figuring out who you want to invest in, you're investing in them. And then the last 5 years, you're really helping to build those businesses. And so I think a really good investor, it's not about the money. There's capital everywhere. It's not about the money. It's around, what are you going to do as an investor? Get on the board, help drive access, customer acquisition, help build out the product, right? So harvest to me really means getting inside that business and helping them grow so that you can have a big exit, so that somebody will want to come and acquire them.
What's the number one quality you're looking for in a founder?
I think people that can get after it. Relentless comes to mind. Somebody who's just passionate. It's the only thing they do, and it's the only thing they think about. I do talk to some founders who, they got a couple projects here and there, or they're running a business, but they're also trying to do a startup. Doesn't work. Somebody who's 100% dedicated. And then also, it's always nice to find somebody who's already done it before. High bar to set sometimes, but if you've already created a startup that created value and then you exited, that's nice to see.
The Fervent 4 is powered by the Small Business Development Center, which helps local small businesses grow through counseling. If you're interested in learning more on how the SBDC can help your business, head to startwheel.org/weekly.
You just said 100% dedicated to their venture. What if someone isn't? like how, or that is definitely something I think that comes up a lot in the world of starting something. It's figuring out when is the time to jump, when is the time not to jump. And you just said it seems like being 100% is something that you think is very important. How does a person kind of gauge and judge whether or not it's the right time to go in or not when they're still kind of in that ideation phase, if you will?
Yeah. And so I think about it later, a little later stage.
Right.
But I wouldn't put my personal money or my company's money into a startup where the founder and the team was not dedicated full time. And so I think about commitment. I think about, if you're a founder, you need to have cash reserves, not just for your business, but also for your life, so that you don't have to make a decision to exit early. If you're almost, hitting scale or hitting your market the way you want to. I think it's about how long can you last, or how committed you are, how clear do you see what you're trying to accomplish. And so that's why coming back to some of the earlier conversation, if you really are crystal clear that there is a customer who's willing to pay you to solve that product, and that you as a leader can build a company that can build a product or service that goes and solves that product or that problem, go after it. Simple.
Yeah, and with that, I'm curious what your take is on a single founder startup versus a startup with a co-founder. Is there a preference that you have on your end?
It would be having a co-founder. Two brains are better than one, and then also, it's optionality if something were to happen. So I'd say you always need a co-founder.
Yeah, I mean that's I agree 100%. That's one of the things that I'm always talking to different founders about, and some people get it and some people don't. But I mean, it's a hard path, and you need someone to pick you up on the days that the dark days, and someone to celebrate with on the big days. Any companies that got away from you that you wish that you could turn the clock back and re-engage with them?
The ones that got away.
Yeah, I call that the anti-portfolio. None that I'll throw out on here, but I will say that I do keep a running list of what we pitched or what we thought about, what it would be, and then so when they do go public or get acquired, we can see where we missed. I do think for us, it's we've done 9 deals so far, 7 in the startups over 3 years. Pretty accurate to what our pace will be. So we're not going to be doing 10, 15 deals a year, and so it's not about quantity, it's about quality. So I really don't package up a deal and take it to our investment committee unless I have at least an 85% shot at it, if that makes sense. And so I don't have a big anti-portfolio of companies that I wish we swung on, but there are a few.
Is there something that we haven't talked about today that you want to talk about?
I think going back to Hampton Roads and the great work that's being done. I've gotten to plug in several times with Tim and others to be a judge and to listen to the founders that are here in the community. And it's exciting. I love it. So I think that the way that people are working together, from the angel groups to the accelerators, in Hampton Roads and also in Richmond, I'm excited about Assembly coming together in Norfolk, in the 757 studios being stood up there, and really giving founders a place to come out in Norfolk and in the Hampton Roads area. It's just cool to watch. So I would say if somebody hasn't plugged in to some of Tim's work, and really watch the founders hop on a call on a Tuesday night, right? Spend an hour and a half or more pitching their ideas, coaching each other, and then seeing people from the community hop on, volunteer their time, and just help. I think it's something exciting to see.
Well, and the other thing that we're grateful of Ferguson Ventures, just giving back and reinvesting into the community. Wish that more people, more corporations would jump on board with that, because that enables us to continue that give before you get mentality. And we can't thank you enough for the responsibility that you've taken on upon yourselves to give back to the community. It's awesome. So we can't thank you enough for that.
I appreciate you plugging me in. I mean, I've gotten a lot smarter. When you sit down with a founder and walk through their business and figure out how you can help them, it unlocks things in your mind that I wasn't thinking about. It helps me go back to my job and do a better job just by walking through, somebody that's trying to start a 3D printing business, or just, there's all kinds of different ways to think about things and then apply it to what you're doing on your day to day.
Yeah, I mean, even with the Innovation Challenge, watching the judges and listening to the students pitch, you can see everyone's their wheels are turning in their mind about how that applies to the current business. And then most recently, your involvement with Norfolk State doing something similar with the 3-day or the 3-day business weekend.
Yeah, 3-day startup coming up in a few weeks. So that's going to be really fun with Norfolk State.
Okay, so pitch events, getting feedback from individuals. What are your thoughts on being a judge or someone in the crowd giving feedback and to a company, and that person providing the feedback is not and will never be a customer? How do you, as the person, as the presenter, take in that information?
I think it always depends on who the person is. So a couple things, right? If you're a founder, you should be getting feedback from vast, diverse places, but it's up to you to understand what to do with that feedback. Somebody might not be a customer because they might not like snowboarding, right? They might be a skier, but that doesn't mean they haven't built a business that can help you grow your business. But I think it goes back to, you should be seeking out feedback from a lot of places, but it's up to the founder to figure out what to do with it.
So figure out how to dissect what that person's actually saying and then do your due diligence on that end.
There's a lot of people that are really smart but don't know what they're talking about. A lot. And it's a good thing. At least they're there trying to help, but that's why it's up to the founder, because only they are there to grow the business and build it.
What do you do in your free time?
Chase around my son, Riley. He's a 3-year-old. Chase him around. So we go to a lot of playgrounds.
There you go. Is he going to go to Auburn?
Maybe. Who knows, right? I don't know. He'll go wherever he wants to. Could go to Stanford, Harvard, Yale. I mean, there's other options out there.
West Virginia. He can go to West Virginia University. Why wouldn't someone want to go there?
Go to William and Mary. We got a good there's a good program down there. Get in there. So who knows? But chase him around. Do some kayaking. Just whatever to stay outside, especially now.
There you go. You've used the term Hampton Roads several times in this discussion. I know we have as well, but there is a big push for the 757 or the 757 to be kind of the staple that people use as the kind of vernacular. Is that something that you get behind? Is that something that's just difficult for you to change because you've been using Hampton Roads? How does something like using 757 as the vernacular instead of maybe a specific city or something like that, how does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I like it. I mean, I've only been here 3 years, but I've been coming in for a decade. So whatever it takes to get people working together across the cities. We work with Lighthouse Labs out in Richmond. So the way I look at it, I don't see Hampton Roads. I don't see Virginia. I just see a world, right? And so you've got access to a world. Go get that. But your local region is very important because there's people here that need help here. And so I think it's really cool to see people that they want to put their money into Hampton Roads. They want to make sure the founders stay so that we can build a diverse community here. And so, for Ferguson, it's around economic development, because new businesses create new jobs. And if we help create new jobs, we can access more talent, we can bring in more talent. And then Ferguson's got a bigger talent pool to choose from if people want to go from company to company. But I do think it's really cool to see founders have access to a lot here, and then also throughout the U.S.
If someone sent you a rock poster, would you put it on your wall?
Yeah, I need one. I don't have any.
I did not buy that. I did not buy that. I promise. It's not the rock poster I would have bought either, but.
Yeah. Send me one. I'm in. It's all a commercial, so let's check that out.
Blake, when's the new headquarters building open up?
Any time. I mean, over the next November, December, they're finishing up construction and they're handing it over. So I've seen some pictures of it. I mean, it's beautiful.
It is gorgeous from the outside. Are you going to be moving into the new building?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Over time, I'll be in there.
Yeah. For those that watch, swing by City Center Newport News. That building is, again, from the outside, is fantastic.
Yeah. We're excited about it.
How does a company understand when to grow and to invest in things like that?
I think, you got to think about where you're housing associates. So we had several buildings that we were renting that we could pull together in another environment or another building and kind of bring people together in a larger place. And plus the company's growing. I mean, we're growing, so having space to do that's important.
If someone was listening, what's the one thing that you would want them to leave this conversation thinking?
Well, one, Ferguson is a great company here locally, but we also do business across the U.S. and in Canada and in the U.K. So if you need career opportunities, it's a great place to look if you're coming out of college or if you're already in your professional career. Really, two, Ferguson Ventures is a very thoughtful and methodical investor who really thinks about how to grow the startup and how to create success for the founders. And we don't make investments unless we really believe that we can help that founder scale and go to market. And then Hampton Roads is a great place to put their business, or the 757, either way. So come one, come all.
Tim?
No, great way to round everything out. And again, I can't thank you and Ferguson enough for your continued support for the entrepreneurial community here in the 757.
It's not going anywhere.
Someone get this guy a rock poster.
I need it. I guess a marathon, 26.2. I guess Tim's running marathons. He's got his medals out there.
Yeah.
Next time I'm on, I'll have some decoration back here.
Like an Auburn stadium or something like that. There you go.
Probably.
Blake, really appreciate your time today. It's been a lot of fun, very educational, and thank you for being a part of this. Tim, always great to see you. And thank you guys for listening. We will see you guys next Thursday. Until next time, see y'all later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.